Got a practice buddy here today. For the practice, I recommend to take a block. It's not essential, don't worry, we're not balancing on it, anything like that. It would be more of a seated support here and there. So if you have one, please use it. If you don't have a block, this also means you could easily replace it with a thicker cushion. We will begin lying down this morning and doing so on our backs. You might choose to be more on the comfortable side, stepping the feet out, letting the knees roll in. You might be more on the open side and open the knees, or you could very much so just rest the legs out and let the upper body surrender to. It's depending really in which position are you comfortable at the moment. The practice this week is about Drishti. Drishti is translated into a focal point, and oftentimes mistaken for being something that we can see with our eyes. It is helpful when the eyes are open to direct the gaze towards a drishti or that gaze point. But oftentimes it is more the attention that we bring to a certain point that makes the difference. These gaze points are very intensely practiced in a style of yoga called Ashtanga. I would love to bring them into this practice today, as oftentimes our focus isn't really steady. In our daily lives, the mind keeps wandering on and out, bringing in doubts and worries. Sometimes it doesn't need much, but just some point to focus upon. Now, while you are resting here, your body is at ease. Take your awareness to the tip of the nose, to Nasagrade Drishti. We often look at the tip of the nose when we come to an up dog, maybe even a cobra or chaturanga when we lower towards the floor. We will use a gaze point toward the middle of our thumbs today, Angusta Madhyai Drishti. We will also occasionally look at our toes, especially in forward bends, Pahagora Drishti. As you let your attention wander down to the navel, a gaze point we used a lot in a down dog. We've changed that now. But the navel, a gaze point to represent our inner strength and self-esteem. And then there's Parshva Drishti, if you were to look to your sides, such as in twists. And then there's Urdhva Drishti, which we'll use a lot as well. It's the gaze upwards. Whenever we turn the gaze towards the ceiling or the sky. And lastly, we've got Pramadya Drishti, which is the gaze point between the eyebrows or our third eye point. When we direct our gaze there, we are enhancing our ability to see beyond the eyes. While you will likely notice that although you're having certain points to look at, or I ask you to do so, the mind will still wander. Don't be surprised about that. It's just the nature of the mind. And each time it does so, return your attention to the drishti that is appropriate in the particular posture. While you allow your breath to gently deepen, We will begin our movements by bending the knees and letting the feet step down onto the mats. You may leave your eyes closed if you like, or open them and follow the gaze as well as the attention to the right toes while you're extending your right leg upwards and flexing the right foot. You can choose to take a hold just behind the leg and draw the leg a little bit in towards you in a relaxed and careful manner. Then bend your knee and rest your ankle on top of the thigh. Your gaze point shifts here, but you could use your right hand and guide the knee a little bit away from you for a figure 4 on your back. You could stay there, or you could slide the right hand through between the legs, lift the left foot, and take a hold of the back of your left thigh while you hug both legs in toward your body. Your drishti might go back towards the toes, maybe even of both feet. Bending your left knee to the max and placing the foot down quite close towards the buttocks. Let both arms lengthen along the side of the body with the palms touching the floor. On the inhale, squeeze the buttocks muscles and raise the hips up if possible for a 3-legged bridge. Breathing out as you're rolling the spine down to the mat. And in-breath to let your arms open out wide. And out-breath to carefully roll your legs to the right. The foot on the knee could stay there and encourage a deeper inward rotation of the left hip. Please feel free to lower the foot if it's required. Changing your gaze over to the side for Parshva Drishti. Becoming aware of what is on our side. Let your right foot slide down towards the mat and take a breath to raise your knees and bring your head to center. With the next inhale, extend your left leg, flex the foot, start gazing at the toes, your drishti here. And take a hold of the back of the thigh while you draw your left leg in toward your body. Bending the left knee and placing your ankle to the right thigh. Left hand may guide the knee away from you. Option to slide the left arm through between the legs. Lift the right foot away from the ground and take a hold behind the right thigh, hugging the legs in towards you. A deep bend into the right knee to land the foot down close to your buttocks. The arms aligning by the sides of the body, the palms touching the floor. As you next inhale, squeeze the buttocks muscles and aim to lift the hips up for a 3-legged bridge. On the exhale, releasing the spine down. On the inhale, opening the arms wide. On a breath out, with or without the foot up there, let the legs roll to the left. And you may change your gaze point here, looking over to one side. Let your left foot gently land to the floor if it hasn't. And then drawing your knees as well as your head back into center. Giving both knees a hug in towards the chest. And an option to rock from side to side across the back. You can now choose to just roll over to one side. And from there, finding your way up onto your knees. Now, saying that if your knees are sore, you don't enjoy a deeper flexion in the knees, you can sit in any other shape or form. If it is possible for you to sit on the heels, you can either do that or grab your block or thicker cushion, place that between the feet, and then sit on this. Just a reminder that it's not essential to sit in Virajasana, which this is, as the deeper flexion of the knees may or may not be suitable. Let your hands come to rest somewhere into your lap and aim to lengthen the spine, the real reason why we came to sit here. You can close the eyes. Our pranayama here is Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. To start that, we will use our right hand, the thumb and the ring finger to gently touch the sides of the nostrils. And the index and middle finger today will rest that deliberately in the third eye point between the eyebrows. If arm and shoulder feel heavy over the time or already, place the palm of the hand underneath the elbow. We'll begin this practice with the breath in and out through both nostrils. If you notice your nostrils are blocked, you could instead visualize the practice. Then close your right nostril, inhaling through the left. Open your right, close the left, and exhale through your right nostril. Inhaling through the right nostril. Open your left, close the right, breathe out the left nostril. That was one cycle. We start again. Inhaling left. Exhaling right. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. Please continue alternating the nostrils for a while longer. While your focus here is the breath itself, there's still the fingers that remind you of the third eye point. And somewhere behind there is also the area where your breath switches over. So remaining connected to the breathing practice as much as to your Drishti. This current round is your last. And whenever you have completed it, resting your hands down and keeping your eyes closed, your Drishti unchanged, the third eye point. Lower your gaze now lightly and touch the palms of your hands together in front of you, beginning to look at the middle of your thumbs. As you next inhale, lift up onto your knees. Follow the hands as you're lifting the gaze up towards the middle of the thumbs. And breathe out and place your hands down for an all-four stance. You can remove the block now, place it to the side. We could use it again later. As you land here, allow your knees to rest underneath the hips and spread your fingers out at the hands with about shoulder distance apart. As you inhale, soften the elbows, lift your tail and raise your gaze. With the exhale, straighten the arms and deeply round the back. On the inhale, soften the elbow, lifting tail and gaze. A breath out to straighten the arms and round the back. Now let's do that with the matching Drishti. As you inhale to open, looking up to the third eye point. On the exhale, looking down towards the navel. Go for 2 more rounds, shifting your Drishti as you shiftings between the postures. Third eye on the inhale. Navel on the exhale. Then releasing your spine into a neutral position. We'll change our Drishti focal point to the right hand. While you breathe in, raise it, maybe looking over to the side or up to the hand. Then follow the hand as you thread the needle and reach underneath without aiming to touch the floor. On the inhale, lift to open. On the exhale, threading through. Repeat for one more as you breathe in, open your arm, lifting the gaze out to the side or keep it with the hand. On the exhale, thread the needle, keep looking at the hand sliding over, and this time you could rest your ear and shoulder softly to the mat. Your gaze point is Parshva Drishti, the side gaze. Your eyes can be open or closed as you maintain a focal point within. Your left arm could gently wrap behind the back if that suits you, no obligation. A light twist in the spine with a side gaze point. Releasing your left hand back onto the mat. And as you breathe in, take the right hand back up. Then breathe out and land the hand. We're back in an all-four stance. On the next inhale, lifting the right arm. And the same here, we're following into that direction. On the out breath, follow the hand with your gaze, thread through, aim to stay away from the floor. Inhale, lifting the left arm. Exhale, reaching under. One more, take a breath in as you're raising your left arm, your gaze opens or lifts up. On the exhale, reach underneath, keep following the hand. And in this round, you may rest your shoulder and your ear down to the mat, holding the thread the needle position with your gaze to the side, but along the floor towards the direction your fingers are pointing. An option to wrap the right arm behind the back now. Keeping yourself in the thread the needle position with a steady focal point on your side. Placing your right hand more firmly down into the ground. And when you inhale, push into that hand, raise the left hand again. And breathe out to land the hand down, fingers spread out. Tuck your toes under from here. If you prefer to stay on all fours, you may extend one leg and then the other. If it's okay, raise the knees away from the ground and lift your hips for downward facing dog. But do move that down dog, paddle it out, start with the legs, the obvious, then the hips. You might notice now with all that focus being drawn into this practice that there's other parts of the body that might feel a bit tighter. Allow them to move too. As you place yourself in a steady downward dog from here, allow that gentle softness to be within your knees and let your tailbone reach up and back. I will repeat myself if required or appearing to be more suitable. You can always bring the knees down to the mat. On the next inhale, let the right leg extend upwards, flex the foot so the toes, the hips are pointing down. Inhale, point the toes. Exhale, draw the knee into the chest, round your upper back. Inhaling, extending the leg up and back again. Exhaling, draw the knee into the chest, the nose towards the knee. Repeat that once more as you breathe in, extending the leg up and back. On the exhale, drawing the knee in, This time, however, landing the foot in between the hands. As you inhale, soften the knee, rounding your back, collapsing the lunge. On your out breath, roll up through the spine, touch the palms of the hands. Your gaze points the middle of the thumbs as you're raising the arms. Open the hands as you breathe in. Your gaze upwards. On the exhale, make fists and pull down. Lower your gaze or inner awareness to the navel core center. On the inhale, lift the gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhale, draw your gaze plunge to the navel. Repeat that once more, breathing in and breathing out, holding in your inner strength. Extending the back leg out and leaning a little forward. When you take your next inhale, reach your arms to the front or even around your ears. On the exhale, use the same fists. Bring the back knee in and up. Rest your left ankle to the right thigh. Begin to bend your right knee. And maybe release the fists to palms touching in front of heart space. If you are struggling with the balance, have some fun first of all. Maybe choose to stand on both feet. If it's available to you, lift the hands as well as the knee and the gaze. Then step the foot back into a lunge and plant the hands onto the mat. Stepping the foot from the front to the back, maybe your knees come to the floor. On your out breath, keep your elbows close and lower down onto the mat. Tops of the feet are encouraged into the mat. On the inhale, lifting the head and the chest for a cobra. Keep the elbows in, the shoulders down, your gaze point, tip of the nose or third eye point. On your next in-breath, lift back up to all fours. On the out breath, tuck the toes under, stretch hips to heels, arms extended. Inhaling all fours, choose to stay or breathe out, lift knees for down dog. If you now find your down dog needs some movement, please allow that movement. If your down dog feels better when it's steady, that's also a good choice. Let's inhale and lift the left leg up, flexing the foot. Point the toes on the inhale and breathe out, knee to chest, nose to knee. Inhale, extend the leg back. Exhale, bring it in. And one more as you breathe in, extend. On the exhale, bring the knee forward. Help or land the foot to the front end of the mat. On the following inhale, let's collapse the lunge. And then a breath out as we roll it up. Touch the palms, raise the hands. Your drishti again coming to the middle of the thumb. As you inhale, separate the hands and simply looking up for Urdhva Drishti. On the exhale, use your fists. Pull down and lower into the back knee. The gaze will change again as you inhale, looking up. On the exhale, bring awareness to your power center, navel area. One more, inhaling, looking up. Exhale, Nabi Drishti, hold. Extending into the back leg as you breathe in and leaning a little forward. Arms may reach to the front. Inhale. Exhale, use the same fists. Draw the knee in, maybe up. Ankle may rest to the thigh, let the knee fall open. Bring a bend into the left knee and release the fists to touch the palms. Keep lengthen the spine, lower tummy on, and a flexion in the foot you raised. With your next inhale, if you can, follow the hands with the gaze, lifting the knee. On the out breath, step the foot back, release the hands to the mat. Foot from the front steps into plank, maybe kneeling plank. Exhale, lower on or toward the mat. Inhaling for cobra or upward dog. And breath out to begin your transition to all fours or downward facing dog. As we use that as a resting posture for a few breaths, where you figure out your gaze point in your downward facing dog or Adho Mukha Svanasana. The gaze point here for me used to be the navel. That is an overextension into the back of the neck. So in a more modern or functional way, we would rather gaze maximum towards the toes, or even let the gaze just gently rest on the mat underneath us without actively lifting the head. So the neck is more or less relaxed in this shape. Beginning now to walk your feet toward the front end of the mat. On your next in-breath, when you get there, come to a half lift. Gaze point, tip of the nose. Breathe out and fold forward. Your gaze point, your toes. Touch the palms, change gaze to thumbs. Bend your knees, follow your hands as you lift up to stand. Maybe a mini back bend on the inhale. Then soften the knees, follow the hands still as you fold all the way down. Hands resting to the floor near the next gaze point, your toes. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward. Exhale, step the left foot back about 1 meter and land it out at hip distance. If possible, hold foot on the floor. Front knee is bent. We'll touch the palms. Look again at the middle of our thumbs and press down into the front foot. By raising the arms up, keeping front knee bent for warrior one. If there's tightness in the shoulder, rather use a gaze upward than at your thumb by separating the hands. You can't look up, look forward, find a different gaze point. Pulling the feet in towards each other might provide you with more strength and stability. Virabhadrasana 1. On your next inhale, raise the back heel. Bring the hands to the heart and lean the body forward. If it's available, raise the left foot away from the ground for warrior 3 variation. Your gaze point here is towards the floor for stability in your balance. Toes are pointing down to the mat too. Inhale, point your foot. Exhale, land the whole foot down. Keep your front knee in a bend and take an inhale to raise your gaze point and your arms. On the exhale, let the arms circle out and let your hands interlace behind your back. Keep the front knee at a bend and take a look at the front knee aligning with your toes. So if that's not the case, the knee oftentimes rolls in. Ground more down through the ball of the foot to raise the arch. When you next inhale, draw the arms down or even away from your back. Let your heart lift. Roll your gaze up to third eye point. Breathe in. On the exhale, leaning into a humble warrior with the right shoulder, aiming to touch to the inside of the knee if you get that deep. Change your drishti towards the back foot or more precisely, the arch of this foot. If it's invisible, ground more through the outer edge. Arms behind you can rest or remain lifted. Keep your gaze point at the arch of the foot, the support in this shape. Let your hands release now and bring them down on the inside of the front foot. Raising your back heel, you can leave the knee away from the ground or lower it down. And on the elbow, starting to bend your elbows as you lower towards the floor. Bringing your right big toe firmly into the mat to hug the right knee in by the side. Your gaze point could be your hands or just simply the ground underneath. Holding your gaze steady as you lengthen your elbows. Inhale to straighten the arms. If your knee is off the floor, please bring it down now. Then slide the right foot from the front end of the mat to the back end. Extend the leg fully. Bring the left hand towards underneath your shoulder and take a breath to raise the right arm. That's a supported side plank. If you want to do more, you can lift the bottom knee off the floor and rest the outer edge of that foot behind the other foot. Side plank. Inhale. On the exhale, land the hand down, turn back to the front into a plank or a kneeling plank. Add a flow if you like, or take a break. If you're flowing, breathe out to lower down towards the mat. Then inhale, lifting into cobra or upward facing dog. And on the out breath, begin the transition back into downward dog. As you settle yourself in, there's movement, a possibility. And alternatively, there could be steadiness. Please follow the needs of your own body. Find your drishti again, toes, mat. The length in your spine. The breath that is flowing. With the following inhalation, lift your right leg up again. Keep the foot in flexion while you're raising the leg for alignment of the pelvis. Then inhale to point the right foot. And when you're exhaling, bring the knee to the chest, the nose to the knee, and then help or land the foot between the hands. Come to your fingertips for a runner's lunge. The right hip is gently drawing back to realign with the left. You can stay here or lift the arms up by your sides, palms facing down, belly away from the thighs. The spine is long. Gaze point here is downwards. Maybe it becomes more the tip of the nose. And an option to close the eyes for this flying lunge. Inhale. On the exhale, step forward. Look at your toes as you fold. On the inhale, a half lift. Exhaling to fold again. Touching the palms of the hands, start looking at your thumbs, bend your knees, push the floor away, keep looking at the thumbs as you raise the arms, and here comes an optional standing back bend. Soften the knees when you next exhale, follow the hands as they move through the midline to the floor, looking at your toes. On the inhale, lengthening the spine forward. Stepping your left foot back about a meter and plant it out to hip distance. Front knee is bent. We're touching the palms again, looking at the middle of our thumbs. And we're pushing into the front foot, raising the arms, inhaling. This is a warrior one. If the shoulders are tight, rather choose a drishti towards the ceiling, the sky, than the thumbs. Pulling your feet in a little bit towards each other for deeper strength, more support. Inhale, bring the back heel away from the mat. Exhale, draw hands to heart. Shift gaze point to the floor as you lean forward, and an option to raise the back leg away from the ground. Foot is flexed, so toes and hips are facing down. Same as the gaze point. There are 3, warrior 3. Let's point the toes at the back as you inhale. Land the whole foot down as you breathe out. Keep your front knee bent. Raise the arms again, looking at the thumbs as you inhale. On the exhale, circle the arms out. And when the hands reach behind, change the finger on top. Before you do more, take a look at the front toes and align the knee in with the toes. It's a matter of raising the arch of the foot rather than adjusting the knee itself. As you draw the arms down or away from the back, begin to lift your sternum and then roll your eye gaze up to third eye point. Taking a deep, full inhalation. When you breathe out, start to lean forward and down towards the inside of the front knee with your shoulder. Arms may lift away from the back. You could alternatively rest them down. Your gaze point shifts now to the back foot, admiring the arch of the foot and encouraging it by grounding deeply through the outer edge. A reminder of support, even though we're leaning forward, the back leg playing a major role. Let your hands now release to the mat on the inside of your front foot. Then raise your back heel. Choose between knee off or on the mat. On the next out by bending your elbows as you lower into a lizard lunge. Pressing your left big toe into the mat to hug the knee in by the side. Take a few breaths here. If you need a little bit more hip flexor extension, feel as if you're drawing your lower abdominals in and down towards the tailbone at the same time. Next, inhale, straighten your arms. If your knee is off the mat, please bring it down. And then slide the foot from the front while you extend the leg to the back end of the mat. Your right hand goes underneath the shoulder and with the breath in, lifting the left arm. Option for full side plank, lifting knee off the floor, landing the outer edge of the foot behind the other. Vasisthasana. Bringing the hand down as you turn to plank or kneeling plank. Option to rest or to flow as you breathe out to the mat. Inhale for your back bend. And exhale to return to all fours or even a downward facing dog. When you arrive, breathe. Breathe and change your drishti to where it was in the last downward dog. Try and maintain that drishti while the breath is flowing. You're feeling stable and at ease in the shape itself. Next inhalation, lifting your left leg up. On the exhale, bring the knee forward and aim with the foot between the hands or help it there. Come to your fingertips, then lengthen the spine, drawing the left hip gently back to realign it with your right. Option to lift away from the thigh. Extend the arms, palms facing down, fingers spreading. gaze point becomes the tip of the nose. An option to look there with the eyes closed. We will change dynamics a little as I ask you to lower the heel of the back foot. Bring the hands down in between the legs and turn the feet so the outer edges of the feet align with each other and the outer edges of the mat. Come to your fingertips, lengthen the spine as you look down to the floor. With the exhale, fold forward, starting to look behind you, placing the hands down flat underneath the shoulders. If you reach this far, you can use a block to rest the hands on as well. As you find yourself here in the wide-legged forward fold, raise the shoulders gently into their sockets. The gaze backwards here, if the eyes are open or closed, doesn't matter, could give away a different perspective, a different focal point on this world, seeing it upside down. Allowing your weight to thrust forward within the feet. So the tailbone is the highest point. And for a few breaths, just lengthening the exhalations. Nothing else to do but breathing out. Breathing out and knowing that we are able to change our focal point as well as how we see this life and this world. With your next inhale, rise back up onto your fingertips. Turning your toes again to the short edge, front edge of the mat. Take the hands to either side and raise your back heel. Then bring the back knee down and step the front knee down as well. Come to gently sit back towards the heels and slide the hands back so they're resting beside your knees with the palms down onto the mat, the fingers spread out. The hands about shoulder distance apart. Lower your belly over the thighs. Keep the elbows snug, the shoulders relaxed as you look down to the floor. This is enough to be in if you've got any pressure problems like glaucoma, high blood pressure, even heart conditions. If you want to go further, you don't have any of the previous, tuck the chin in and place the head down onto the mat in front. You can then take a breath in and lift your hips up while you're rolling to the top of the head. Ending with your elbows placed over your wrists. The hands are still spread out. You are raising the elbows actively, creating a lot of space around the neck. This is fully sufficient to stay here. If, however, you feel you want more pressure on the head, a deeper inversion, tuck your toes under. Use your hands to lift your knees up. Looks a bit like a downward facing dog. This is a lot more pressure down towards the crown of the head. So please keep your elbows in to support a tripod. If you have lifted your knees, even more important to keep your elbows close by rather than wide to support the stance. Making sure that elbows are still sitting over the wrists. Further options to lift one foot, place one knee to an upper arm and do the same on the other side as you might touch your big toes together, a full tripod stance. Holding your inversion if you're still with me for another breath. You lifted your feet, land the feet first, then bring the knees down, and then roll back to sit upon the heels. Bringing your hands in front, making fists and stacking the hands, so fists to rest the forehead on the back in the first variation. Here, only more supported, aligning head and heart. Give yourself the time to take a few breaths. Your awareness withdrawn from the outside world, focusing inwards. On your next exhale, begin to round your spine up into a seated position. We're not staying here as such. I will use a block now between my feet. If you're unable to have that deeper flexion in the knees, it's not a problem. You can always take your knee out towards the side. We will begin with the right leg extended forward. Now I'm using the block here deliberately to reduce the pressure in the left knee, but also to keep my sitting bones at the same height. Bring your fingertips down by your sides, bend a little into the right knee and flex actively through the right foot. Start to look at your toes. As you inhale, stay upright. With the exhale, begin to fold from the hips, the belly coming towards the thighs, the hands adjusting to support you forward before you lower your gaze towards the knee. As you gaze at the knee, you bring in this sense of gratitude for what those knees are able to do, such as simply carrying you to places by bending, moving, swinging. Allowing longer out breaths as you deepen this forward fold. If the Drishti wanders away from the gratitude of the knee, notice and then bring it back. On the next inhale, push the floor away, come up into a seat. Take the left foot from your side and bring it over to the other. An easy posture where the knees are a bit out to the side is also an option. Bringing the right knee up and take a hold of the foot and the knee. Open that lightly and begin to rock it. So while you could hug everything into your elbow creases, I suggest to change the angle of the bend of the knee a few times while you're rocking into your hip joint. Then take the foot, either place it down on the inside, on the outside of the leg, or even to the outside of the hip, stacking the knees. Breathe in and lift your left arm. Breathe out, bend the elbow and place the hand behind, and then take a hold of the elbow. Allow your lower ribs to draw inwards while you're pulling your elbow backwards, leaving the head upright. Some of you might be able to reach the left arm behind and aim for a bind. I'm fully aware that my arm is too short, so I will keep a hold of the elbow here. Allow yourself to gaze, eyes open or shut, towards the tip of the nose. Next, inhale, not only lift your arms, but also your gaze. And breathe out to land your fingertips down. Lean a little bit back to unwind your legs. Extend both of them out at the front. Only to change side as you draw the right foot in by the side or open the right knee outward. Keep the fingertips down as a support and bend your left knee a little, flexing actively through the left foot. And with your fingertips down by the sides, lengthen your back on the next in-breath. On the following out-breath, lean forward from your hips. Let your hands adjust your drishti, your toes. Before you choose to lower the drishti or gaze point towards the knee. As you allow yourself to bend forward while lengthening your out-breath, your drishti remains at the knees, and you might allow yourself to be grateful for other things that your knee enables you to do. Maybe it's the hikes that you enjoy, using your legs to dance, whatever it might be. With your next breath in, push the floor away, coming back into sitting, taking your right foot from one side and draw it across, either preparing for an easy pose or bringing the foot to the outside of the block on the other side. Then bring your left knee in, take a hold of the foot and the knee, and start to rock the baby on this side. If you enjoy that as much as I do, changing the angle of the knee, so to get a different range of movement into the hip, the knee. You can then choose to place the foot down inside, outside of the foot, or help it to the outside of the hip. On the next inhale, raising your left arm, a breath out to bend the elbow. Take a hold of the elbow first. Encourage the lower ribs a little inwards, the elbow a bit backwards. If you do choose to bend, take the right arm behind the back, reach for the fingers. If not possible, I suggest to come back to the elbow or the extension into the shoulder and the triceps. Drishti, the tip of the nose as the breath flows in and out. On the inhale, lift the arms, the gaze. On the exhale, releasing your fingers down, lean a little bit back, unwind your legs, and come off your seated support. You could place the block down by the side somewhere. Find your way forward on the mat so you've got space behind to lie down, and take a hold of the backs of the thighs while you extend your arms and lengthen your spine for a seated boat variation on Navasana. Option now to lift the feet away from the floor. Next option, to lift the arms. And last option, you could lower the hands down or extend yourself to release all the way to the mat. Leaving your arms resting by the sides, I would like to squeeze in one more posture as you step both feet down onto the mat, taking your block. Squeeze your buttocks to raise the hips and either bring the block down flat or halfway up. Some might even bring the block all the way up. If resting the block on the sacrum doesn't work for you, slide it off the sacrum towards your feet. You can relax the arms down in this supported bridge, hoping for some space coming through the front of the hips. Anyone who feels comfortable and safe in the back can also extend the legs out long. One more breath. When you are ready, bringing feet back down, taking a hold of the block, then lifting and squeezing the buttocks, slide the block out from underneath, and carefully roll your spine down. Wiggle your feet towards the outer edges of the mat and let the knees fall in for a short release. Then bring both knees to your chest, give them a squeeze, and you could choose again to rock from side to side. You might from there lower the feet down. Give yourself a restful position by sliding a bolster under the knees. You could return to feet wide and knees falling in, or you could even extend the legs just out onto the mat, open them and let them roll open so the toes are moving to the opposite sides, shuffling the shoulders onto the mat and opening the arms. A tiny little chin tuck to align the neck, to have noise, also in alignment with the navel. And then bring your awareness right up to the tip of the nose, noticing how each breath is flowing in and out of there gently. That is our usual Drishti for Shavasana, or resting pose. And you may, of course, choose to maintain that gaze point, the tip of the nose. It is in relationships that we sow either the seed of liberation or the seed of imprisonment. Yoga is asking us to pay attention to the nature of all of our relationships and to apply the yamas and niyamas, our guidelines for living. Whether it is our relationship to our breath, the bottoms of our feet, the ant crawling across the floor, our families, or to the divine, we are being asked to pay attention. The aim of yogic practice is to free from the endless distractions of the fluctuations of the mind, and to teach us to bring a focused mind to bear on the nature of our relationships. And this time you spend on the mat was dedicated to that. To support our practice today, a card from the crystal deck came up, the Pranit. It states here, you are about to gain a profound spiritual insight in the form of a prophetic vision, which appears to you in your dreams or at a time in which you least expect it. Through this, you realize that at the heart of all matter, only love exists, and that our perceptions of good and evil are simply a human illusion. A deep inner knowing will swell from within you, and you will realize that all is literally bathed in love. Nothing can ever harm you or have a negative effect on you apart from your own fears. Through this experience, you will have no doubt that a higher force does exist, and that through this higher force, all is possible. As you begin to trust in the universal power of love to guide you, your life will take on greater meaning and purpose. It is a matter of what towards we bring our attention. Let your drishti now shift to heart center, allowing the beating of heart to come into your awareness. The idea of connection with unconditional love, which links us to the divine. Deepen your breath and feel the body moving again. Maybe stretch a little. You can bend your knees and roll over onto your side when ready. Before then joining me in a seated pose. Preferably eyes closed or gaze steady and hands resting down. We'll touch the palms of the hands together, looking at the middle of the thumbs. And as you breathe in, follow them with your gaze as you lift the hands. Breathe out and then touch your thumbs to your third eye point. While you hold them there, you might choose to connect to the heart, to see more clearly beyond what the eyes can see. And then draw the thumbs down to touch your lips. An intention may be to speak with kindness and compassion. Placing your thumbs lightly against the sternum to once again reconnect to the heart, its ability of unconditional love. From where we will bow and extend to each other. Namaste.